Hey, welcome to Horns Up, episode number 72. The start of another week, another manic Monday, but one that is actually a very good start to the week, and that's because we've got none other than Girish Pradhan on the show. Man, what a killer album, Rock the Highway, that was released last month. Wow, I dare say, and I mentioned it a lot during the interview too, but it's such a terrific album.
I completely agree with you. I mean, so Girish is someone we saw perform with the Chris Adler experience late last year, and anyone who's seen him perform live know what like a powerhouse vocalist he is. One thing I really enjoyed about the Girish and the Chronicles album is it's not just about his vocals, man. You got the killer guitars, and you know, you kind of get transported all the way back to the 80s in some of the tracks, at least, right?
And not just some of the tracks. I think that excellent musicianship runs throughout each and every song. You can tell that the entire album, 12 songs over an hour long, but damn, they just don't take a pause from just showcasing some extraordinary talent. It makes me extremely proud that this kind of music is coming out of India. This is seriously, it's better than world quality, if I were to put it lightly. And that's really blowing a lot of steam up GATC's posterior, but they totally deserve it.
Definitely, man. I mean, it's a really, really good album, and it couldn't have come at a better time when all of us are kind of at home checking out new music in a way, out looking for something different to listen to. Why not? Rock the Highway totally fits that bill.
And Girish and along with the band, they've got such a fantastic story to tell about their journey. It's something that really deserves a lot of attention. And yeah, it was an absolute honor speaking to him. So let's just cut to the chase. Here he is. Here's Girish Pradhan from GATC. Hey, Girish, how are you doing today, man?
I'm good. I'm good. In Bangalore, the same old story. Locked down.
Really, the same old story. I,
Yeah.
I must say, man, congratulations on the album. I really think so far it seems to be, for me at least, the best album released by an Indian band this year. And I dare say it seems like that for a lot of others since it ended up topping charts on Apple Music too. It's been an absolute pleasure to have something this good spring up during these weird times, you know?
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. We've been getting a lot of good feedback and from you guys too now. Thanks.
I'm assuming that this wasn't the original plan, right? Like releasing it during this time as such. But what made you guys really just go through with it and release the album?
Actually, we'd announced it a year back that we are going to release the album on 27th of April. So we just followed the plan to follow the schedule. There was nothing, it was nothing related to the uh, pandemic or the lockdown or anything.
Why that specific date? Like, does it mark some sort of anniversary, or is it special in any way?
No, no. We signed up with a record label named Lions Pride Music from Denmark, and they gave us that schedule that we are supposed to release the album on that date.
Okay.
So that's it, actually.
It couldn't have come at a better time, bro. Like I really wish it would have been launched in a traditional manner with gigs, etc., so that we could rock out live with you guys.
I know,
But
man.
yeah, still, it's stellar thing to really get into at during this time when all of us have a lot more free time than usual.
Yeah, in a way, it was good because I guess you know a new song like "Rock and Roll's Here to Stay" probably kind of boosted everyone's spirits up, and it did really good on YouTube, and it was shared by many web zines like Metal Socks and all that. So the kind of feedback we got, we kind of realized that it kind of lifted up people's spirits.
Yep. And we'll talk a lot more about Rock the Highway, but I think before that, Peter wants to dive in and just go back and get you to take us through your journey. Peter?
Yeah, I still remember picking up your previous album, and for me, that was one of the curious things, because I was like, "Oh, where did these guys come from?" And especially like when you put in the CD, because I had bought the CD and stuff. So just like, I'm very curious to know, how did you get into music and what were you listening to growing up?
I don't know. Everyone in school were listening to like one band or the other, and I guess it's also related to the friend circle. And MTV used to show bands like Bon Jovi, Iron Maiden, or Motley Crue. I don't know which other band, Skid Row, and all that. So I guess we were all influenced by the kind of music we do, and but initially it's also related to the fact that Yogesh, our bassist, is my own brother,
Mm.
and also our mom is a singer, a professional musician herself. She has been doing this for a very long time, but I mean she's more of a folk, traditional, classical based singer. But the thing is, I guess the natural tendency towards it was already there.
So music kind of runs through your family itself, and so
Yeah,
you were naturally just surrounded by it, I'm guessing.
yeah, even our guitarist, his father used to be like a professional tabla player and all, So I guess we all had one member or the other kind of involved in music, and eventually we were also affected by it.
Was there like one band or like a song? Do you remember a moment like where you were like, "Oh my God, like this is it," like, and I'm gonna kind of
Just
give
like
myself to
everybody,
lock in.
just like everyone, Hotel California, man.
Oh wow.
Not like everyone. I mean, but yeah, I totally get where you're coming from on that.
Especially Northeast, yeah. Everyone is starts with I mean, at that time we used to start with Hotel California. If you can play those chords, then you are like a rock star in your class.
Awesome. So you did mention that your mom's a folk singer, but did you get any formal music lessons of any?
No, not at all. Actually, after I heard Hotel California, especially the Hell Freezes over version that used to rotate in our local channel a lot.
Yeah.
So as I was learning that song, I eventually, of course, bought the album, and every song had its own distinct nature, and there were four singers involved in the band, singing different kind of songs, right? So the thing is, I wasn't really that interested in music before. It was my brother, actually, my younger brother, Yogesh. So he started playing the guitar and he started playing those chords, and I got really curious and I ended up learning them too. So basically, what I wanted to learn was the guitars at first. But when you're learning guitars or any instrument, you also tend to sing along. So eventually, I kind of discovered my voice that way. So I started trying to sound like them, whichever singer I was hearing. So I guess the beginnings were about mimicking, sounding like them. Eventually, I got to know Bon Jovi, which was again a shock for me because that kind of voice was something I had never heard before, you know.
Hmm.
So I started developing my voice in that way again. Steven Tyler, Bruce Dickinson was of course the greatest influence ever for me. So it all started with and now we can call it mimicking, but actually it's like learning styles, different styles of vocals, right? So I guess yeah, I am a self-taught musician, yeah, in that way, yeah.
Oh
That,
wow,
yeah,
that's
that's outstanding. And yeah, don't get me wrong, but mimicking or something of that sort, we've all gone through it. Anybody who's self-taught learns ends up learning
Yeah.
by imitating or
Yes, yes.
just playing the songs that he likes or she likes over and over again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even and on the guitars, it's the same. We have to go through learning Clapton and then Hendrix, and then later on, like Eric Johnson, Malmsteen, whatever it is, we develop that way, I guess, right?
Yeah.
one of the things I was really surprised also, and while I was preparing for this interview, is that the band started out in 2006, but you really got noticed after the release of your single "Angel" in 2009. So could you like
Yeah.
briefly tell us about what it was like back in the early days?
Yeah, so basically, I was studying engineering in Sikkim Manipal Institute of Technology, which didn't last much though. But I eventually quit it because I wanted to be in music. So, they used to have this annual fest called Kalra, where there used to be this band competition like any other college, right?
Yeah.
So I had a college band too with some of my friends. I mean, nothing too serious, but we just wanted to be there, and I really wanted to sing on stage, basically. And then the band that used to come from another district called Namchi. So they used to mix up good musicians from different colleges and come as a band, okay, which was very unfair for us. And those guys would eventually win, and we would be runners up. But as a vocalist, I would get the like best vocals, and that guy, the guitar player, used to get best guitarist. Okay, and when I watched him live, I was quite blown away, and I really loved his playing. And he said the same thing to me. We eventually uh, met up, and we all went to our hostel room. And you know what happens in engineering colleges, hostel rooms and terraces, right? So,
Yep.
so we all partied hard, and then later on. He just gave me a hint that we should work together someday. And then after I left my college, I kind of called him up and I told him, let's go for a beer and maybe we can start something. And then we talked, we decided on forming a band because after school, and the band I had in school, my brother was the drummer, and the band was doing actually really good in the local scene. Okay, but as we drifted towards colleges and all that, it totally kind of disappeared. So we had that thirst and we had that experience as well to go on stage and how to go about it, etc. So 2006 was the year and we formed this band, and I actually initially joined his band, which was named Mukti. Okay, and then
Okay.
but that didn't last too. Even their folks went to their own respective colleges and all. So me, Suraj, the current drummer, Nagin, and there was one more guy on bass. So we started this band and we started doing small shows with the name Mukti only. But then
Okay.
I knew this was not going anywhere, until we know something more about the scene and stuff like that. Because for a band from Gangtok, we there was no one to not look up to. As musicians, we had some really good musicians, senior musicians from whom we could learn, but experience wise, how to get in the scene, how to go about it, we had no knowledge, and we were the first ones, literally. So I thought, in order to take the band or like my own career somewhere, I have to head to the cities first, experience, check out what's going on. So I got this job offer from Gurgaon. It was a vocal instructor like job. uh, the name of the school was Chanto Chords, yeah. And then I joined over there, worked for 3-4 months as a vocal instructor, but I realized that's not at all my thing. I didn't want to do that because all I wanted to do at that time was go and sing on stage and nothing else. So I called up a few friends of mine in Delhi who were performing in this PVR Sakit Bennigan's. So I
Mm-hmm.
joined their bands for about a month or 2 months till New Year's, and I was singing there regularly. So even that kind of was working out, but again, the band kind of they were also about to go back to their respective hometowns, and eventually it broke up. And then I also headed back to Gangtok again for a short period of time, and then some old friends
Okay.
of mine, and then after a few friends of mine told me that they were doing some stuff in Nepal, Kathmandu. Like they asked me if I wanted to join. I said yes, of course. And at that time, I was the kind of guy who would just go anywhere if
Mm-hmm.
anyone calls me, right? So I said, yeah, cool. And then I simply went to Kathmandu. They had a room over there in their apartment, so I started staying with them, and then I was there for a year. I was performing in all the clubs of Kathmandu with that band. And that band too broke up eventually. But yes, it was literally like a very tough time, but at the same time, something very educational. I feel like I was living my college years like there. as a first-hand experience as a musician. I was learning how bands work. I was
Mm-hmm.
learning how we do daily shows, and I was also coping up as to if I had to sing some 100, 200 shows a year, how would I cope up with it? So that was literally a training for me, being in Nepal. So what happened was, literally, of course, nobody kind of knew me in the mainstream or whatever, because of course it was the Nepali music over there, and in India it was Hindi music, but India still had always has had a scope for English rock music too, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I decided to come back to Gangtok after that phase, and then I called up Suraj, Yogesh, and everyone again. And Yogesh told me that he was coming to on a vacation to Gangtok. He was studying his sound engineering in Chennai in SAE. Then he told me, "Why don't you record a song? It's been so many years. You have been singing for the last 6, 7 years. It's time you should release something." So I already had a few songs in my mind. We eventually ended up creating Angel, our first song, and this was 2008, 2009. We sent it to this a few magazines in the Northeast and all. It started catching up. It was released. My YouTube channel was also kind of doing good at that time. As a new channel, it was kind of it was giving me a lot of exposure. I had a lot of cover videos and some one or two originals maybe, and it gave me a lot of what do we call that, exposure, I guess. And I started getting a lot of shows. Yeah, that's exactly the point when we were formed, basically, technically, because I was performing as a solo artist in a club called Live and Loud during the year
Okay.
2009. And eventually Noel, Nagin, and Yogesh had to go back to Chennai to complete his education. Eventually we reformed. We got an offer to participate in IIT Guwahati, this Alturing festival, and that's where this whole GATC journey started.
Okay. Okay. Another thing about the GATC journey that's always comes up in most of the interviews we've read about the band is the entire Hong Kong
Yeah.
scene in 2012 with you. How did that experience shape you and also the rest of the band?
Well, yeah, so this was the year 2012. Actually, I got an offer to join this club in Hong Kong in 2010 itself. But that was the time when GATC was doing a lot of new shows as a new band. We had just started out, and then we got a chance to visit this country, Montenegro, for a award function. Our song, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
Yeah,
can
yeah.
continue.
So our song, Yesteryears, was selected as one of the songs, and there were many countries, France, Croatia, Serbia, and all that. So we actually ended up winning the silver for that festival. It was, I mean, in that award function, and then so I had to skip that Hong Kong offer I got at that time. So again, uh, after 2 years, yes, they called me again and they asked me if I was still interested. I said, yeah, I would really be interested. My whole motive and my plan was to bring the entire band over there, but they were saying they are not interested in the band. They want me as a singer to join their club, and there will be lots of Filipino bands and all that over there. They wanted a new vocalist. I said okay, but I was sure I was eventually gonna work it out, right? So I left for Hong Kong. I stayed there alone for, I don't know, maybe 3 4 months. I was with a band, in-house band over there. So I started singing every day. Sunday was my day off. It was a normal job, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Wow.
the thing is, I would sing my favorite songs, like from Whitesnake to Guns N' Roses, everything I wanted, right? So at that time, I was always sneaking to the office of the MD, and like putting it in his head, I have this band from India, which is, and I don't think I can be here much longer without the band, because
Mm-hmm.
I want to. And the funny thing is, uh, within 3 months, I was doing job. I was getting paid really well, and I was really worried about the band. I don't know what the hell is going on, right? Even though
Okay.
everyone's in their hometown, they actually hired Abhishek, a friend of ours, and they went to Hornbill, and they also kind of won this runners up in Hornbill. They also got a lot of money, man. So we were all in a win-win situation. And that guy also got the best vocalist on top of that, which was cool, you know. And after 1 or 2 months, he finally agreed because there was this small little rock festival happening in Hong Kong, and I managed to tie up GATC with them. And they said we have to do our own tickets and all that. We managed with our
Mm.
sponsors and friends, and so eventually the band came, and this club gave us a chance to perform for one night. And then they were interested. They got impressed, and yeah, we stayed in Hong Kong for a year and probably lived the most rock and roll phase of our lives. You know, at that time.
I can
It
only
was
imagine, man.
every
Like,
day. I mean, imagine we were performing every day apart from Sunday, and that too, most of the sets started at 10 o'clock and ended at 5 in the morning, so there were some
Wow.
breaks in between. So that was a total training phase of ours as a band, you know. I mean, performing for more than 2 to 300 days must have surely made us tighter and, you know, more determined as a band.
definitely, there are so many hours of practice.
Yeah.
It's no wonder that what's on the album now is excellent, really excellent musicianship.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, so fast forward all the way to now 2019, and
Yeah.
you released the single "Rock the Highway," which is the title track for the album that you'll release.
Yeah.
Was this the first track to be done from the album? And how long did it take to write and record the rest of the album?
So what happened was late 2018, we decided that we were gonna release something new because it had been too long, right? And we really wanted to give something to our viewers and our fans. So we ended up composing and making a video for "Rock the Highway," a song, and we released it on 31st of December of 2018, like on the New Year's Eve. And the song caught on a lot of attention, especially from the people like in Europe, US. You know, it wasn't in millions or even so many thousands, but we got enough attention for a few record labels and stuff like that to approach us. So they asked us if we can sign up with them, and the first one was Lions Pride Music, of course, and we signed up with them. They said, why don't we name the album Rock the Highway only, since the journey started with that song, right?
Hmm.
So we had a deadline to submit the album by November last year, yeah. So within that span of time, we recorded all of the rest of the songs, and we had a lot of ideas. Basically, it's not like we were blank, because all of our systems have like 2 or 3 new ideas always. You know, even if
Uh-huh.
we have to make a new album again, it won't be much of a problem because we have a lot of unrecorded material. It didn't take much time to record the songs, but the main challenge was like the whole process of creating the tones, the mastering, the mixing, and making it sound huge. You know, that was our biggest target. You know, how do we get that huge sound? And Yogesh, especially Yogesh and me, we were working on the whole production side of it, and
Uh-huh.
we eventually got that sound. You know, finally the last few days were like crazy. We were working like without sleeping for 2 3 days, you know. So yeah, it was something like that, yeah.
Awesome. Like all that hard work really has boiled down to an excellent album. That's how much I like it. I think I've already said that I don't know how many times now.
Really means a
But
lot, man. Thank you so
yeah.
much.
So here's another question though. Now, Rock the Highway is a very long album, 12 songs clocking over an hour. Two questions
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Now, the first one is in this day and age of reduced attention spans and singles or EPs being favored over albums, not
Hmm.
saying that I don't appreciate it,
I know.
but what drove the decision to, have such a long album and include all these tracks on it?
Oh, I guess we're just um just doing what needs to be done, regardless of whatever, because we are just going traditional, I guess, because the bands we are influenced by, the whole era we grew up listening to. I mean, people like us, we used to listen to albums, right? Not singles and all.
Yep,
We used
same
to
here.
buy cassettes and we used to put it in our system and just listen to it the whole day, the whole night. And we used to get addicted to the album, and every song used to have its own place in our heart, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, I really don't think I can get out of that culture, and I'm sure people of our generation and everyone as such would want something like that. Not uh, maybe a lot of people might have a less attention span and all that, but there are a lot of people who would love to listen to albums as well, and we are more towards that side of things, I guess.
Okay, okay. The second question to that then is, you have 12 songs here. Is there any larger theme as such that, ties this entire album together?
Most of it is kind of a few experiences of our own personal lives. Some of it are things that we see as a society, and so I would say the album is kind of divided into two parts. Okay, one part is completely the 80s glam metal, heavy metal kind of a sound, and there is in between there is one song which is very indie, like I mean, quote indie, the name of the song is "The Sikkimese Dream," which in
Yeah.
which we have tried to make it a bit more Indian and folk kind of a thing, a touch, so something that everyone can sing along to, kind of a thing. So that is an exception in that list. But as soon as that 80s style ends, there is this transition towards a more progressive sound, so which includes Identity Crisis, Wounded, this Tears of the Phoenix, Trapped Inside a Mirror. These are all more progressive in nature, and this is kind of what can we say, we do listen to both forms of music, right? And I guess we were
Hmm.
just showing it's not, we are not just about playing the same playing the same old style of the 80s and trying to show, like trying to be like this glam metal, like band.
Hmm.
We have more than all that. We can do these kind of things too if we want. I guess that's what we were trying to do.
It completely makes sense what you're saying now. When I go back to what I was listening, I can see the distinction in the two halves of the album of sort.
Yeah, yeah. So it becomes very different in the later half, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned this. You mentioned that the album sounds absolutely huge, and it does. What were some of the references that you guys started off with as sort of a blueprint to achieve your vision?
Oh, the truth is, in 2016, 17, I am not sure about the year. What happened is we were working on a different album, actually, not this, okay? And we already had about 8 to 9 songs. I mean, without vocals and final guitar takes and all, but we were working on a very, very traditional, not traditional, something like an experimental kind of an album, which was progressive and a bit folk in nature. The last half of Identity Crisis, which has flute and stuff like that. We
Hmm.
were working on something like that, okay. But the thing is, what happened is the vision we had for that album was quite huge, which included it we wanted to make it like a movie, a single story in an album with every video as a new episode of the movie, so that's what we wanted to try out. But then we eventually saw that we on stage are seen as a band, a rock and roll band that's making people have a lot of fun. People jump around, people go crazy. We are also like having a good time, smiling and doing all that, jumping around. So we thought, we should let something like that wait uh, for a later half of our lives, because
Okay.
we didn't want to eventually suddenly declare to the world that we are the serious musicians who are doing this. We still wanted to play songs like ACDC, like and all that, And suddenly a friend of mine introduced me to this. I was very late in this actually. He introduced me to this band called Steel Panther. Again, I was like, what the hell, Shit. So this shit is still alive. I was so damn happy. I got addicted to Steel Panther, man. And like for weeks and weeks, I was listening to Steel Panther. And then I found out I was so much into heavy metal, and I was this serious guy in my college and school that I did never give a damn about glam metal and all. Okay, I mean, I used to listen to Bon Jovi, a little bit of Rat, Motley Crue, yes, of course, like anyone else. But this gave me a different perspective, and the fact that it was uh, matching to what Suraj was all about, our guitarist. The band he
Yeah.
had, the kind of guitarist he used to be in his school and college was very Van Halen like, while
Mm.
me and Yogesh were more of a Iron Maiden background. So there was a distinct. So I think we can see in this album that our side of Maiden kind of side and Suraj's Van Halen kind of a side has like nicely blended in this album. And so, of course, Dawkins, Rat, uh, Motley Crue, Steel Panther, these are, of course, I think some of the influences and references that you were talking about. The huge sound, I really wanted this huge sound that Dawkins used to use, that
Mm.
huge drum sound. I still don't feel it's coming out, it's so hard to bring out something like that. But anyway, we really got inspired from them. Yeah.
So I had this question for later on, but since you already brought it up, since you
Okay.
talked about these tracks that you all have at least written, which are more progressive and experimental, now that Rock the Highway has been released, do you have any plans of recording or releasing those tracks?
Oh yes, somewhere down the line, we never let go any of our music go to waste, But I think there's a right time to everything. Suppose someone is writing a novel, but he or she may feel that this novel is for another time, but it came
Mm.
to my mind, something like that, And I want that that kind of an album, to be there with a full uh, prepared kind of a thing, with everything that we have visualized. Not just we won't just put it out like that. It is very, very, very different from what we do basically. So we don't just want to completely give up everything we've done and suddenly switch to something like that, I guess.
Very curious to see when this will come out. But at this point, we've talked so much about Rock the Highway. We'd at this point want to play a track from the album. Which one should we play and why?
Um, I guess Rock and Roll is Here to Stay is the track that has been giving us so much of recognition worldwide. I guess that's one song I would really love you guys to play. And yeah, but personally, my favorite song to listen to is She's Heavy Metal, man.
I like that one.
Yeah, for me, it's Identity Crisis.
Awesome,
Yeah,
awesome.
I
that
love that. Yeah, I love that
Yeah,
small
yeah.
riff
I
that keeps
mean,
happening in the verse.
we have been performing that song live since the last 1 year. The thing is, that is the song that we enjoy the most playing on stage. That's the truth,
Okay, so Girish, a quick internet search reveals a lot of international praise for the album, and deservedly so. Which begs me to ask this, in such a globalized world today where it honestly shouldn't matter, if there's like a hardcore band from Saudi Arabia or a hair metal band as such from India, does the Indian tag as such still help in any manner?
In a way, it must have helped, especially the article that Metal Sucks wrote on us. So the title was Indian band doing hair metal better than any, pretty much better than anyone else. Something like
Yeah,
that was the
yeah,
title.
something like that. Yeah.
Now I'm sure people must have been curious. What the hell is this? Like an Indian hair metal band? So it must have helped in a way. But as far as our YouTube this release is concerned and all, we made sure not to make use all that. We don't like using such things as a bait. It's just
Hmm.
simply not our thing. So there are so many comments on the video. Where are these guys from? Where is this band from? We read all that. And let it be. Let them be curious and let them find out on their own, right? So
Awesome. Yes, you mentioned your YouTube thing, and you guys are supremely active online. Definitely, this stream is very important to you, and it's been with you for such a long time now. What really made you realize that this was necessary? And is there a strategy or something that you guys have developed now?
Uh, I think it is something that has been evolving over time because I started this channel back in 2009 or something like that when YouTube was also new, right? So a lot of my friends from college, one of my friends from college actually uploaded a video of me singing "I Don't Want to Miss a Thing" by Aerosmith, like I had done it in a college room. Okay, so in a
Oh
few
wow.
years, yeah, in a few years, that guy uploaded that video on YouTube, and I was just checking out the responses of the people. It was like, what? Seriously, people are so going crazy over this, and I decided that I need a channel of my own too, right? So I started a channel called Girish Pradhan, and then I started wherever I used to perform or whatever. Like I used to collect and just upload them, and they started getting a lot of attention. And eventually, the band also came into the picture. So for a very very long time, the whole thing was like it was a Girish Pradhan channel, basically me doing my stuff. But then a few years back, as the band started gaining a lot of attention, I decided to completely change the name to the band's name, Girish and the Chronicles. And then we have been uploading originals and stuff like that. I think there was this 2 year phase back in 2017, 18, 16, 17, 18, where I personally had some a dark phase in my life, right? So I had kind of abandoned my channel and all that during that time. But after we released a few songs like Walking the Line and all, the Game Changer was a cover of Skid Row, 18 in Life. We
Mm.
uploaded
Yeah,
that a few
that's a
years
really
back.
good.
Okay, the kind of reaction we got was like out of this world. The amount of people responding to it was crazy. So that kind of made me understand that we can do this like way more seriously if we want to. And I really had to have this habit of not letting the bar go down. Now after that 18 in life, we could have only done things that are either equal or better. So we have always. So that's why our the amount of videos I upload and all have become less because I want to focus on quality now, right?
Mm.
So I guess the main strategy is to keep giving people content, but something that has quality. And especially with this album, I've realized now that the momentum is there, we will just put up some new video or a lyrics video, whatever it requires, on a regular basis, maybe after a month or every alternate month, something like that.
Mm.
So
Mm.
to make sure that the album, people are talking about the album for the whole year. I mean, it won't be like as hyped, but still, it's our duty, I think, to give it to the people.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have 12 songs that are 12 months. Simple math.
Yeah, per month, right? Or maybe why not extend it to 2 years back, giving it an alternate months, man.
Right. So, Girish, you talked about your early days in Gangtok, and depending on who you talk to, some people do consider Shillong to be the rock capital of India. However, bands from the Northeast are kind of isolated from the rest of the country. Do you
Yeah.
agree with that to a certain extent, and why do you think that happens?
Yeah, I think it has been isolated in a way for many years. There are multiple factors. I feel it's not. It's first of all, it's also related to the bands. A lot of good bands, which might be doing good out there. I
Mm.
don't. A lot of them don't make it a point to move to other cities for a while, like change base. And any band who has changed their base to another city actually has been accepted and has done good in the scene. For example, Soulmate, right? Soulmate
Yeah.
didn't after they started catching up, they moved to Delhi for a while. They
Yeah.
set up a base in Delhi. That is why the whole nation knows them now, because that is a very strategic move, I guess. And so there have been a lot of good bands, but no one really has given a thought about touring the other cities or being in a city for maybe let's say a year. So those things are something like hard to imagine also for a lot of bands. You can't just be in Gangtok living your regular life and then you have a band that's doing good, but then you need to think about 100 times, like before going to a city like Bangalore and then finding a house and all that. It's obviously it'll drive anyone crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know like what's the gap as such, but yeah, I know what you mean. That it is there, right?
I'm not sure if you will remember this, but we had actually met last year in October when you played in Bombay as part of the Chris Adler experience,
Oh shit,
and it was part of
yeah.
the
You
tour
mean
that
Chris Adler experience shows?
yeah. So
That's
Animesh and I
crazy,
were
man.
both there. So
Okay.
now this is again hearsay. I've heard that you're working on a band or a project with Chris Adler. Can you confirm if it's true, and can you talk about it?
Yes, true. Actually, I have been recording songs with them. It's a very friendly thing. Basically, it started off like that, but as I got tracks, I mean, I just started recording and sending them, and we would discuss how do we go about it. So we have a guitarist named Myron, and then a bassist, Mr. James Lomenzo, who used to be the bassist of White Lion, and
Mm.
so I'm actually quite privileged to be a part of that group, man. I feel crazy about it sometimes. So that is definitely another project I'm working on. Yes, and but yeah, it hasn't been made public or there. We haven't really decided what's the release plan or whatever. So
Okay.
it's
So
it's
just
still in a primordial phase, basically.
okay. But just to be absolutely safe about this, you are allowed to talk about it, right?
Yeah, I guess so because I've heard Chris himself talking on interviews. I have this vocalist friend from India,
Yeah,
Girish, and also I guess it's okay.
yeah, and I did read. So one of the things to corroborate it. Also, I saw something that James put out, and he said about Chris telling him about you, and it was kind of like a description.
Yeah, I have
I was
actually
very
totally
surprised.
screen recorded that whole thing and kept it for myself. What the hell is going on, man? These guys talking about me, and it was overwhelming, man. I got so scared up when I saw that whole video. Shit, that's my name being mentioned. Yeah, it's crazy.
Awesome. So there's
Okay.
definitely something to look forward to on that front.
Yeah, it's a fun project, man. It's lots of heavy metal, man. Lots of heavy metal right there.
All right. So Girish, let's start wrapping this up. We've already talked so much about how GATC has a lot of music that isn't necessarily glam or hair metal as such.
Yeah,
But you know how the way trends work, right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
need
yeah,
for the short term, of course, be defined by the sound on
yeah,
this
yeah.
album.
Yeah, we
Are you?
weren't. We didn't ask for it. People just
Yeah,
put us in the hair metal category.
yeah. Are you guys in any manner worried about being pigeonholed into this genre?
No, no, not at all. Because you know why? Because I think back in the 80s, yeah, calling anyone calling you a hair metal band would have been someone trying to make fun. But right now, in this small community of glam metal and whatever it is in the world, now like hair metal is taken as something really cool and something that you can actually wear proudly. I think and I don't mind because Pantera was a glam metal band once, right? I mean, no one
Yeah.
cares about that now anymore. I mean, I guess it's upon how you present yourself eventually, whatever it is. If you have a new sound coming up after a few years, that sound will again define you. You will have another set of listeners, but we cannot at the same time let go of this style completely. So I guess there will always be a mix. We cannot completely abandon this 80s style of heavy metal, glam metal, whatever.
So having said that, and this is our final question,
Yeah.
what's really next for Girish and the Chronicles?
Next is, of course, we want to start planning tours abroad, like especially Europe and US. I don't know how it's gonna come, but we have been talking to a few people, and a lot of people have approached us actually. Would you please tour our country? Would you please, which is like really crazy and good. And bands like, thankfully, we have bands like Cryptos, and we have, Sahil Makiza, and actually call them at times and ask them for guidance. How do you guys go about it and all.
Hmm.
Thankfully, we have people to talk to who are actually already doing that, and all of them have been really helpful. Whatever small advices they give me, it helps me out. And it's a it's a family, you can say. you know and of course, we are already talking about the next album, recording the next album. We are already working on some ideas, and there is a surprise news that may come in a few weeks, but we cannot reveal it right now. So yeah, something's cooking up. Yeah.
I, I like how you're leaving us on some suspense.
Classic, what do we call that? Move on.
Smartly done. Smartly done. Well, on that note, Girish, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you
Um,
so
Yeah,
much.
thanks a lot,
lots
man.
of lots of positive wishes for all that you guys are doing because I think you guys are truly on the cusp of something very, very, very special.
Thank you so much. I really hope this thing goes big, no matter what.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks, man. Cheers.
Cheers, cheers. Thanks a lot.
So, Peter, what do you think the surprise will be?
I have no idea, man. I'm guessing they're releasing another single with some big artist or someone like that. I mean, considering we're in lockdown, that's the best I can kind of think of at the moment.
I would really love to see or hear Sebastian Bach or Axl Rose or even Bruce Dickinson along with Girish as a guest vocalist or something of that sort.
That would actually be quite interesting. I mean, Girish did a pretty kick-ass cover of 18 and Live, so I would love to actually hear him trading vocals with one of the artists on an original track. It'll be great to hear that. I feel.
Yeah, yeah. It's very weird, and I know I'm just segueing into a little bit of Sebastian Bach fanboyism, but I remember when Bach came back with his album Angel Down, I think it was. And that entire album had some killer collaborations that he'd worked on with Axl Rose. And it just goes to show what two powerhouse vocalists, the amount of magic that they can create. And hopefully, yeah, this is just us speculating at this point, but maybe it's a guest vocalist. Maybe it's Chris Adler on drums.
Yeah, it could be him also.
Oh well, we'll definitely be waiting for that one.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
we'll update you on it, whatever the news is.
yeah. Now the pressure's on Girish, man. Hopefully it lives up to our expectations. So that's all we had on the episode today. If you guys wanna talk to us about anything heavy metal, you by now you should know the drill. It's onsupport.com. Yeah, we are still on Twitter. Peter's still at Tentasher. I'm still at Asmoani. And yes, we're still going to leave you the same old way. On sub.
Hands up, guys.